Well, it's another day and another round of new Nintendo Switch 2 leaks, rumors, and information to go over because it feels like the floodgates have more than opened at this point in time. You've seen all of the daily updates we've had on the channel here around new accessory manufacturer leaks. We still have one more of those to go over that gives us yet another look at some upcoming casing options for the Switch 2. Even though Nintendo hasn't revealed this thing, it seems like the exact dimensions and 3D console scans have been out there, and this gives us some new further proof that everything we are seeing up to this point is indeed accurate. And then we have what I will say is a very interesting rumor territory conversation. We're going to mark it as a rumor because this does come just from some trust me bro source initially, but the only reason it's gaining a lot of notoriety online is because there is actually a verified Reddit mod, which, you know, don't put all the stock in the world into just a Reddit mod, but they are supposed to actually shut down stories that don't have any validity to them on their website, and they are essentially 100% putting their name behind this individual. So I do think reading through what they've posted and having that grain of salt mentality with that whole portion of the conversation is worthwhile. So we're going to get on the same page with all of the new Switch 2 information. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And I want to first kick us off by taking a look at some of the newest rounds of images that have come from yet another Chinese accessory manufacturer that does line up with everything we've been talking about up to this point with the larger display. Funnily enough, they actually took the time to put some like game footage on there. Of course, we have the memorable Mario Galaxy moment on this screen. One thing to call out though, and really just further representation that these are indeed 3D renders and mock-ups of what the console will look like and not legit pictures of the console, is they actually have the Y and X buttons reversed from how Nintendo has them. So if you're holding like an Xbox controller, that's more similar to their setup, although the B and A would be reversed, but they have this out of place here. So and notably though, everything else exactly in line with what we've seen so far. The C button that, you know, maybe it's connect, maybe it's community, maybe it's chat, who knows, but that mysterious function button that we still wonder what it is indeed there, and this accessory manufacturer does have the cutout for it. There's one part on the back of these Joy-Cons that we're going to dive into in a minute, but you can also see the detached buttons, which is in line with all of these leaks we've seen, and the U-shaped style kickstand. Now from here we just have a different angle of the exact same cover or case. You can see the more rounded Z, R, and L buttons that we should expect to be a part of this new console, and everything intact like we saw from the prototype model, with the top USB-C port being featured once again, and this light sensor actually having its own cutout being on the top of the console as opposed to near the LCD display like it is in the base model Switch that we have. Yet another black variant of the same type of case here, but we do have to talk about just how much from this angle you can see how there is a curve to the Joy-Con. Now you would assume because this is a skin that fits tightly to the console itself, and it does seem like some of the renders we've seen have kind of shown this like this more rounded ergonomic form factor to the Joy-Con instead of them being flat. I cannot confirm if this is tied to the accessory itself or if it's something that we should be able to actually expect to be on the Joy-Con of the next gen console, but it is worth talking about because it's clearly rounded here, and we've had numerous case accessory manufacturers, you might remember, kind of have their case with an actual deeper cutout specifically for something like this rounded Joy-Con. So I am thinking that that could indeed be the actual legit design that Nintendo's going with for the Joy-Con, and not just something extra from these accessory manufacturers to add some more rounding to the back of it, but rather that's literally hugging what the Joy-Con is itself. So that's an interesting possibility and something we haven't seen, you know, featured a whole lot up to this point in time. So I'd love to hear some, you know, comments from you guys on whether or not you would like to have a Joy-Con more rounded like that, like a traditional controller, really similar to something more of like a Pro controller, as opposed to just the more flat style that we have today with the Joy-Con. I'm thinking that will be far more enjoyable in my personal opinion. But from here is just some different looks at this same case. We are going to get into a couple things past this. I mean, you can kind of see, again, talking about the rounded Joy-Con, it does have those up close and everything, and this is also a kind of skin that when the Joy-Cons are detached, you'll still have those parts actually stuck to the Joy-Con themselves. And then you have some kind of nice, now these are just mock-up models based off of some of the information we're actually about to walk through from an individual who claims to have held a finalized retail unit of the Nintendo Switch, and they basically say that the dock, they're surprised how far out the screen comes from where it sits in the Switch 2 dock. Again, this is somebody's representation of what they would expect to see this console look like when docked, not actual information or direct, renders from a company or anything like that. But you do have this interesting concept that you could have like the clock, the charge, and even your weather, and then like a little Nintendo character floating around on top. That would actually be a really cool idea, and I would like to see that, but I don't necessarily know that the dock will actually be cut down this low. Would be nice if it is, and we could see more of the screen, but again, just a concept, not necessarily something that is actually confirmed. But the individual was taken back by how much screen you can see when docked. So that's kind of some of the more mock-up render photos that are floating around online due to them suggesting that kind of stuff. This logo could indeed be very similar to what the final logo is, because Necro Felipe did actually take some feedback for exactly what the user, who we're going to be talking through in just a moment, indicated in terms of what they saw with the logo, and he actually asked him directly for feedback on what the logo looked like with the Nintendo Switch wording and everything, and this was as close as he could get to it being accurate. So maybe we have a kind of early glimpse to the logo, maybe we don't. But I want to then take you over to this very interesting post that you would normally just write off as somebody who is claiming something that they can't back up. However, we don't have to wait long to see if this is actually accurate or not, because they are saying that they will post this information on Christmas, but that for some reason posting it before that would actually put their identity at risk. For what reason? Why between now and Christmas would make a difference? I don't know. And again, I'm not in the mindset that this is entirely 100% legit, but it is interesting to at least have a conversation around it, especially considering that we've seen concrete evidence that a company like Foxconn is actually not only mass assembling these consoles, but actually shipping them to Nintendo. At least that's exactly what their financials suggest. So that does mean that there would be some people that could potentially have finalized retail units in their hands or near them, and somebody could go rogue and provide this type of information. So you have this post over on our Gaming Leaks and Rumors, which says the user on our Nintendo Switch 2 claimed to have seen/held a Switch 2 final unit, sent visual proof to moderators. The mod post here, and this is after they've been provided proof because they were originally threatening to take down the post. He says, WTF, they actually had evidence. That's very new. This person is unironically telling the truth or is a really good hoaxer, but that wouldn't make sense if they are trying to hide it, so I don't know. User claims to have held the console but not been allowed to turn it on. What he posted: the console is called Switch 2 and the logo is the Switch logo with a giant 2 on the side. The unit was dark gray, but apparently there is a full white SKU, both Joy-Cons and tablet. And another special edition SKU is themed around a game with a 9, a very obvious hint at Mario Kart 9. The console doesn't really feel heavier than the current Switch. The buttons and sticks are marginally larger than the current Switch. Magnetically attaching the Joy-Cons to the console makes a mechanical click sound. The 2 back buttons are indeed the Joy-Con release buttons. Heard the reveal is next month for a Nintendo meeting. I think they may be referring to the investor meeting on February 4th, 2025. Dock has the same ports of the Switch OLED and is a bit larger but curved, and so much of the screen pops out. The game cart slot looks the same as the current Switch. The top side of the Joy-Con when detached has a surprise feature. Oh, and the magnets themselves are buttons. LCD screen, ZL/ZR buttons are larger than the current Switch. The sticks are Hall effect. Now, there were a couple more interesting back and forth answers as that individual was taking questions at a certain point. One of the replies that he put out was that his understanding was a mid-March launch. However, he did say this was not from a first-party source. Then there was some back and forth around the 9 title, obviously a hint at Mario Kart 9. He's not necessarily saying that that is a launch title that is planned, and I actually don't think Mario Kart 9 is the launch title. I'm thinking similar to what a lot of gaming journalists within the industry have heard, is that the plan is for a 3D Mario to kick off the console at launch, and then we'd probably have Mario Kart very soon, maybe even within the first calendar year of the console coming out, and I could see that being the holiday game for 2025, and really just being that reason for all of the masses to go out and pick up the console. But interesting, like the white and black SKU, something that actually might kind of line up and make sense with why we've seen so many white Joy-Cons floating around out there. An all white console with white Joy-Cons would still be very different than the current Switch OLED model that they launched, where it's the white and black mix. So I could see that kind of making sense. And then kind of more having like the black or dark gray model as well, just kind of as the two different launch SKUs, is very interesting. Now, again, I'm not putting too much stock into this user because they say they will post it on Christmas, the proof for everybody. The mod apparently has the proof right now, but it still seems and smells fishy. Like somebody has, you know, information that lines up with a lot of the legit leaks. So I don't really think that this is going to be anything that's very different from what we should expect anyway. But where I do get leery is knowing specific games and specific SKUs and models for the console that it will launch with or around. That's where everything starts to kind of get a little bit squirrely, in my opinion. But again, at least we don't have to wait very long to see if this is legit or not, because just a little less than 10 days at the time you're seeing this video go live will be Christmas Day. So we'll see if this user actually provides some kind of proof to the public, or if this is just another one to kind of write off with everything else and it's a clout chasing move and that kind of thing. So very interesting nonetheless, especially around the timing. And it is realistically possible that somebody does have their hands on a retail unit and is leaking information about it. It's just I don't have enough stock in this Reddit user or Reddit mod rather to completely put trust into this entire story. And not to mention the fact a mid-March launch, if that's what they're hearing from their non-first party source, does not seem to be the case anymore. If you listen to sources like Nate the Hate, they are hearing some kind of blowout event in May, and then a late May, early June, or even just June launch in general is kind of the targeted time frame. And I think since we haven't learned about the console in 2024, and we will definitely learn about it at some point in 2025, probably early January or February, at that point I do think it makes more sense for Nintendo to target that May, June timeframe as opposed to the March, just because it'd be very unprecedented for them to turn around, reveal a console, and launch it in a couple months with new first-party software to go day and date with it. But let me know what you make of all of this new Switch 2 information in the comments down below. Are you like me and you're just like, gosh, why did Nintendo not drop a first look trailer in October before they went into mass production and mass manufacturing with this thing? Because obviously we are at a point where the floodgates have now opened with the leaks. Are you just ready to see Nintendo finally reveal it? Because I know that's where I'm at with it. And does any of this new information make you more or less excited for the console? I know Hall effect joysticks for the new Joy-Cons would be absolutely insane and a huge game changer if it is included in there. But was anything in the post that we read through very exciting to you? And do you tend to believe this individual Reddit user, or do you think this is somebody just clout chasing online and for some reason they got a mod to go along with whatever supposed proof they have? But make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.